66 is where we are on the syllabus. If you, do you have, young lady, do you have a syllabus? You've got a syllabus. Okay, I think that's the page you're on. Like the page numbers are a little different than yours. We retyped it, okay? Mine at the top says 9. 9, okay? Or is that where you are? Do they have a 9 up there?
Oh, yeah.
All right, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14.
What's 9 day?
9 says, describe David's feelings over the death of his son Absalom.
Okay.
Sorry.
All right,
No,
okay.
sorry, this one doesn't
Sorry.
fit.
Okay.
Page 66 is not.
Okay, can you look and see what
On my
page you're on?
66 it is, but it's way down here.
Oh, it may be down a little bit
Number
further.
9 on the page.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, because they're a little bit different.
Excuse me.
Yours are typeset a little
You were at
different.
the top, Brother Phillips, sorry.
Okay,
Okay, please, sir.
all right. Let's go on down to about number 13, okay, number 13. Why was David denied the privilege of building a temple? Do you remember what happened? Because he had murdered. What was the main thing that he did? Now, you have to remember that David's life, God said David was a man after my own heart. But David took Bathsheba. Not only did he commit adultery with her, he knew her husband. Her husband was his elite guard. Her husband was his personal bodyguard, people. Her husband was David's personal bodyguard that had risked his life many times for him. He was the elite front guard. He knew her. Their families knew each other. At one time, he was up on his palace looking down upon her, and I know a lot of preachers say he should have been out at war with his men. No, he wasn't supposed to be out at war with his men. His men did not want him to go to war. They said, he's too good. We don't want a chance of losing our wonderful king. So they would not let him fight with them. They did not allow him. They enacted laws that would not allow David. Go, you stay home, David. You kill Goliath, we'll kill all of his brothers. All right, or his son. And they were out fighting the war. But Bathsheba's husband was his elite guard. And there was quite a few of them out there. They were like the Green Berets of the day, whatever you want to call it. You know, they were the elite guard. They were personal guards. Okay? Now, when he had her husband killed and murdered, premeditated, you remember he came to his house and he stayed there and he would not go home with his wife. He was a holy man. Remember? He was a holy man. His whole family were believers in God. Now, they were Canaanites, but they were believers. They were Hittites, you know. But they were believers. Now, who are your modern Hittites? Marilyn, hold on for just a minute now. Just hold on. I know you're going to... She woke up in the middle of the night the other night and asked me this question. But who are the modern... What nation was founded by Hittites? I told you to hold off.
Well, the Hittites were...
That's right, you're right. But I wanted the rest of them to think.
Oh.
All
We
right.
never got that one.
You never got it.
No.
All right. China is a Hittite. Brilliant people. But here we have this Hittite, and he was the elite guard. They were believers. These people were believers now. His father was a believer. His father-in-law was a believer. All of them were believers, okay? Well, when he came back, and then he sent him out there with his own death sentence written out. And because David did this, he could not build a temple. He was a man of bloodshed. Not only did that happen, it affected his whole family from then on. Remember his son Absalom, which means peace to the father. That's what Absalom means. Peace to the father. Well, he wasn't peace to his father, was he? He rebelled and committed adultery with his wives up on the same palace where David looked down and saw Bathsheba. He put tents out there and committed adultery with David's wives in the sight of all Israel. All right. Okay, number 11. No, number 12, that is, was David. Why was David denied the privilege of building a temple? Because he was a man of war and because of the sins that he had committed with Bathsheba, Uriah's husband. Okay. Number 13 now. Number 13. Although he had faults, there is a good thing that can be said about David's relationship to God, and what was it? When he sinned, what did he do? He confessed his sin and asked God's forgiveness. He always did. Psalm 53 is, Psalm 53, I think it is David's repentance when he had Bathsheba's husband Uriah killed. All right, number 14 now. Now here we get down here, I'm going to give you some names. So you write in, take your pencils and write in now.
Go
Fill
slow.
in the blank, okay? All right, fill in the blanks. David's son Solomon was made king before David died, okay? And then I want to ask you a little something. Over to the side, all right? David's son Solomon was made king. Put Solomon in there, okay? Was made king before David died. How many wives does Solomon have?
1,000.
What's
1,000?
He had 700 wives and 300 concubines. Concubines are wives also. But he had one other one,
Queen of Sheba.
Queen of Sheba. So he had 1,001 wives. The Queen of Sheba, she wanted a child from Solomon, so he married her, and she got pregnant. Of course, she went on home, but that was his wife also. All right? So he had 1,001 wives. And there's where Haile Selassie said he was a direct descendant of the emperor of Ethiopia there. You know, he said he was a descendant of David. And of course, we know we got black Jews over there in the area where the Queen of Sheba went to this day. Number 15 now. In the second day of the second month. Now, see there it says the blanks there. In the second day of the second month of the 4th year of Solomon's reign, he began to build the temple. Okay? There was 153,000 men had a part in building the temple. All right, 153,000. And then it says Hiram. Hiram, king of what? Where's Hiram king of? Tyre. Tyre, T-Y-R-E. Tyre. Sent labor, and cedar trees. Okay? These are the cedars of Lebanon, okay? He sent labor and cedar trees. Hi. Fir trees and algum trees. All right, fir trees and algum trees for the building of the temple. Fir trees and algum trees, algum, A-L-G-U-M, trees for the building of the temple. By the way, all of these trees are what kind of trees? What kind of trees are these? Every bit of this wood in this is like pine. It has sap in it which retards rot. Okay? It's an evergreen. All right? So it's like cedar wood. It's like redwood. If you want to put a post in the ground that won't rot, put a redwood post in the ground. Okay? That's why, and that's the permanence. All right? Evergreen. Eternal life. No. Fir trees and algum trees for the building of the temple. In exchange, Solomon sent Hiram 20,000 measures of beaten wheat. What it means is flour. He sent him 20,000 measures of beaten wheat or flour, 20,000 measures of barley, and 20,000 baths of wine. That's wine. Ganomatos teso amplu, or oinos. We get our word oinos right out of the Greek word. And 20,000 baths of oil each year. What kind of oil do you think that was? Olive oil. Olive oil was like gold, people. Yeah.
What was the word before wine? I'm sorry.
What?
What was the word before wine?
Barley.
Barley. Barley.
Barley.
All right. If you need me to slow down, I'll slow down a little bit. Now, I was going to give you a little bit more than that, if you want to write this down. There was 183,300 workforce. All right. There were 30,000 men per shift. 10,000 a month. All right. There were 70,000 carriers, 80,000 hewers of wood and cutters of stone, and 3,300 supervisors. You want to write all that down. Building the temple. Okay? Now let's go over to number 16. Now, after what building was a temple? Pattern. And that should be what? Tabernacle. Except, to tell you the truth, that's wrong. The syllabus in reality is wrong. What was the temple pattern after? How did he get the instructions for it?
Through God.
Thank you. Right straight from God. God inspired David to write down what the temple would look like. And we did study the temple, and I showed you a picture of it. We drew a picture of it. I gave you some of the handouts for it and everything. And, matter of fact, I don't know if I've got any more of them or not, but maybe. Maybe not. Maybe we're not in luck. I don't know. Oh, yes. I have it. Here you go, Barbara. Did you get one of these? I mean, this is not very pretty. Marilyn was supposed to give me a better one. But,
Well, I have a part of it, then I got sick.
anyway,
I haven't forgotten.
so we have, now we're on this next page.
So is it the tabernacle?
This is the temple. It was you can put tabernacle in there, but in the Bible in 8 ages, actually, it's not the tabernacle, it was pattern after. It was inspired by God. How many candlesticks? 6. Well, I need to move this thing around. How many candlesticks were in the tabernacle?
7?
Huh?
7?
1.
Oh,
1. It had 7 lamps on it, but there was only 1. How many are in the temple? 10. How many tables of showbread? You just multiply it by 10. How many of these baptismal fonts? In here's 1, but in the temple, how many? Look on your little sheet that I gave out to you. All right, how many is it? Look on that little sheet. All right. There's 10 of them. Actually, there's 11. There's 10 little ones and 1 great big, what they call the bronze sea. Great big bronze sea. All right? So it's different. It's not like the tabernacle, is it? Now remember that the temple is a type of the church in the glorious reign right up here above the earth in the 1,000-year reign. New Jerusalem. The temple is a type of the New Jerusalem. The tabernacle is a type of the church in the church age. Okay? The temple is a type of the church in the millennial reign of Christ, where it is the city New Jerusalem. And the tabernacle is a type of the church in Christ in the church age that we live in today. Okay? Simple as that. Now let's go on a little bit further. We've got 2 Davids here today. What does David mean?
Beloved.
Beloved. Beloved. All right. Number 17 now. What? Somebody read that for me? Number 17. Anna, you have that?
How did God acknowledge his acceptance of the temple?
All right. Let's think about this for a minute. How did God acknowledge his acceptance for the temple? After Solomon built the temple, how did God accept it? What did he say? How did he say it's okay? Remember what happened in the tabernacle? How did God accept the tabernacle? After Moses had the tabernacle built, now this, remember, the tabernacle is a type of the church in the church age. Okay? All right? How did God accept the tabernacle? What did he do?
Dwelled there.
The Shekinah glory of God, and the Shekinah glory, by the way, is a Hebrew term. It's a rabbinical term. It's not a biblical term. But the Shekinah glory, it means the presence. All right? God said, I want you to build a tabernacle so I can dwell with my people. Did he not? All right. In the New Testament, it says 7 times in the New Testament that he wants to dwell with his people in the churches. The churches today is where the Shekinah glory of God still is, true New Testament churches. Here's the Shekinah glory. See it right here on the tabernacle there? He engulfed. It said that the Shekinah glory so engulfed the tabernacle that they couldn't see to minister. Okay? This happened 3 times in the Bible. 3 times. The next time, how did God acknowledge acceptance of the tabernacle? He sent fire down from heaven and consumed the burnt offerings and the sacrifices on the altar and filled the house with his Shekinah glory. That's what it's supposed to write down. Now again he did it. When did he do it again? What does the term ecclesia mean? Iglesia in Spanish. What does it mean?
Church.
Church. It means one's called out. When did the Lord himself begin to call out his church? When did the Lord, what? At the Sea of Galilee. The word ecclesia means one's called out. He began to call his church out at the Sea of Galilee. Peter, James, John, all of these guys. Come. That's when he started calling his church out. All right? And the church was already in existence. What office was in the church? How many offices were in the church before the day of Pentecost? And tell me what the church did before the day of Pentecost.
They had a treasurer.
They had a treasurer. Who was it? He had a name.
Yeah. Judas.
Judas. The treasurer was Judas. All right. Did they ever baptize anybody before the day of Pentecost?
Yes.
Yeah, more than John the Baptist baptized. Did they have any business meetings before the day of Pentecost?
Most likely.
A bunch of them. Did they ever take the Lord's Supper before the day of Pentecost? Absolutely. All of this happened before the day of Pentecost. What happened on the day of Pentecost? We had a repeat again. What happened on the day of Pentecost? God sent his Shekinah glory down. The Shekinah glory just immersed the church there at Pentecost. And it said that they stood out there, and when they spoke, it said flames of fire were on their heads. Like tongues of fire. Flames of fire were on their heads of those speaking. What happened?
Did they receive
Same thing.
Did they receive the Holy Spirit?
No. The Holy Spirit came as a comforter, as the Shekinah glory, and the Shekinah glory of the Lord is still in his true churches today. It's there. Still. That's what leads them into all truth. All right? So we had, and this is the type of the church in the church age. So what happened here? The Shekinah glory came down on the church. And what led the church into all truth? Jesus said, I must go away. If I don't go away, I can't send the Comforter. If the Comforter comes, he will lead you into what? All truth. What happened on the day of Pentecost when they spoke in unusual languages? What happened? What happened over here at the Tower of Babel? Huh? Right here, on the chart. This is Noah's time. And man was supposed to scatter and multiply upon the face of the earth. And what did they do? Old Nimrod, son of Ham. All right. He went out and built him a great big old tall tower and had a one world religion and a great big city. And God said, don't do that. And they rebelled against God and established false religion. And God confused the languages. And these guys scattered and spread out. They had to scatter. See, he told them to scatter and multiply. They didn't do it, so he made it. Not only after he got them out there where they could go and understand each other, then he started dividing the earth. It says in the days of Peleg, God divided the earth. That's when the earth was divided. That's when we have the continental drift. Okay? If you look at a globe, you'll see how the earth all fit together in Gondwana or Pangea at one time. And then when God divided the language, confused the language, and the people spread out where they could understand each other wherever they went. And by the way, which race of mankind spread the furthest, the fastest?
Jefferson?
Which race? Who built the Tower of Babel? What race of man built the Tower of Babel? The Hamites. The son of Ham. The Hamites. The Hamites established all of the great and ancient civilizations. China. Hittites are Hamites. Okay? The Canaanites are Hamites. The Egyptians are Hamites. The Africans are Hamites. The Incas and the Mayas and the Aztecs are Hamites. Great civilizations. Did a whole lot of slavery. A lot of slavery in those civilizations. Okay, but they were the ones, and they're the ones that got out. And if you look on your map, if you look at the Middle East, let's call this Middle East right there. The furthest from the Middle East that people spread, what would that be?
Australia,
Australia and New Zealand. Where else?
over South America.
Africa. Way down.
South America.
And America. The further they spread, the more primitive the people lived. They were satisfied with what they had. They were not greedy. They just wanted to live off the land. That's what those people did. They lived off the land. The American Indians on this continent were the most blessed people of all the people in the world because they were satisfied with what they had. They lived with the land. They didn't destroy the land. They lived long lives and everything because they scattered and multiplied. They scattered and multiplied. There were no diseases or anything else. And in Europe, all during that time, what happened in Europe? Big cities. Mass slavery, princes and paupers. Tremendous, terrible, terrible crime. And what? You have in big cities, you have crime and disease. All right? If people go out and live a very nomadic and a very, what we call agrarian lifestyle, you know, farmers and hunters and gatherers, you will be the healthiest people on the earth. That's the way it's been always. That's the way God designed. That's the way God wanted man to live. All right? Simple as that. Thought I'd just throw that in there a little bit with it, okay? All right, number 18. Now, we find the church being empowered there, and what the great miracle was not them speaking in different languages, but they're speaking in the same language. The miracle was not speaking in 1,000 languages or 3,500 languages or 760 basic language stems and 2,796 dialects of it. But all of them heard them speaking in the same language. The Tower of Babel was reversed there on the day of Pentecost. All right, so the church was glorified, accepted, baptized in Spirit of God with the Shekinah glory. It's still with it today. List the prophets, it says in number 18. List the prophets who prophesied during the following periods. Those prophesying before the exile of Judah. Remember that. Now Israel, we have two boys of Solomon. Solomon, he went astray, didn't he? He married a whole lot of women. How many? 1,001. And he also followed their gods. And he built temples all around Jerusalem for them. Okay? So God said, I don't like you. I'm going to tear the kingdom out of your hand, but I'm going to leave some of them because of David, my beloved's sake. So those prophesying before the exile of Judah, which is where David's son, what was his name? Rehoboam. He's a rehash of the old man. Rehoboam wanted to tax them heavy and all this kind of stuff and work them and everything else. He said, my father corrected you with bull whips. He said, I'll correct you with scorpions. And I'll tax you heavier than he ever did. All right, Judah. That's Judah. Okay, write Judah out there, circle Judah or something. And that's Isaiah. The first one is Isaiah. Isaiah. And then Micah. Micah, Nahum, and this hard word, Habakkuk. Habakkuk, Habakkuk. That almost sounds like the Ku Klux Klan there, doesn't it? Habakkuk. Zephaniah. Zephaniah and Jeremiah. All right? Now those are the prophets of Judah. Okay? Plus Elijah, who was what?
What was the last one?
The last one is Jeremiah. By the way, if you want to know where the Ark of the Covenant is today, where would you go and find that out? How many of you ever heard of the Apocrypha? That sounds already hidden, doesn't it? The from writing, the Apocrypha. Apocrypha. Well, in the Apocrypha, in 2 Maccabees, the 2nd chapter, it says that Jeremiah, the prophet, being warned of God that Nebuchadnezzar was going to carry off all this stuff, he said he took the tabernacle and the Ark of the Covenant and went over the mountain where God showed him Moses, the promised land, which is Mount Pisgah, which is the one that looks over. It's in Jordan, by the way, where it is today. He said he took and hid that Ark of the Covenant in there, and Jeremiah the prophet was warned about that. You can go read 2 Maccabees, the 2nd chapter, and you can find that out. By the way, 2 Maccabees, the Jews always looked upon it as a historical document and accurate. Okay? Whether they accept it in the Bible or not, it's still historically accurate. All right? And Jeremiah was warned of God, and he did take the Ark of the Covenant and hid it over there. Now, they got thousands of different kinds of explanations what the Ark of the Covenant is today, but I kind of accept that. All right? Number B. All right? Those prophesying before the exile to Israel. Now, remember, Israel would be led by Jeroboam. And Judah would be led by Rehoboam. Rehash of the old man, and then Jeroboam. All right. Now, Jeroboam would be, by the way, this is where the Samaritans and everything, all that came from later on. Okay? They started their alternative worships down there. And the prophesying before the exile to Israel was Amos. Amos. Remember Amos and Andy? Here's Amos. All right. And Hosea. Hosea. And Obadiah. You need me to spell any of these?
Yeah.
All right. Hosea is Hosea. And Obadiah is Obadiah. Obadiah, and then Joel. Joel. You know, there's a lot of things in Joel about the end times and eschatology. And those prophesying to Nineveh before the exile. Who prophesied to Nineveh? Who was that dude?
Jonah.
Jonah. All right, Jonah and the whale. We've all heard of Jonah and the whale, haven't we? All right. Are you enjoying this? All right, we're giving you a lot of work. Rehashing some of this. But we're going to study all these prophets pretty quickly as we go through them. We're going to go through all these books and see what the... Remember, I wrote that the Old Testament and New Testament survey. You can get in there and you can just kind of get a synopsis of whatever book says. Those prophesying during the exile or captivity is Ezekiel, and who's the other one? Ezekiel and who?
Daniel.
Daniel. All right, Ezekiel and Daniel. Number E now. Those prophesying after the captivity. Now this is pretty important. You get things separated. One of the reasons why I have this chart on the wall here, I used to teach in the seminary, you know that for a long time. And this chart is the best thing that gets you to know what we're talking about, what period of time we're talking about, okay? So here we are, Egyptian bondage. What happened there? What is the Egyptian bondage? Was that where Israel went down into Egypt and they became in bondage to the Pharaoh down there? That's when they were building the cities, the Ramses and all that. And then who went down there and took them out of that? Moses. Moses. What does Moses mean?
To draw out.
To draw out. Let these other guys say something. You take the teacher home with you. You're cheating. Moses means to draw out. All right. Moses. She's a pretty smart girl, isn't she? All right. Moses drew them out. Okay. Those prophesying after the captivity were Haggai, Haggai, and Zechariah, Zachariah. And then who's the last prophet? What's the last book in the Old Testament?
Malachi.
Malachi. Thank you, young lady. You got a A+ today there, sunshine. Number 19. Before the death of Solomon, what prophecy did Elijah the prophet make to Jeroboam? Remember that? He took a brand new coat and tore it up, didn't he? And he said, tear it up in how many pieces? 10 pieces. All right. That God would take the kingdom out of the hand of Solomon and would give the 10 tribes to Jeroboam. All right. He tore up this cloth, and we studied this. You know, we're going back and rehashing and catching up where we are in the syllabus, so you'll have the syllabus to go back and remember. Write your extra notes in there too. Who was made king upon Solomon's death? Wait a minute, go back to 20. I skipped. What took place in the kingdom upon the death of Solomon? There was a great concern how Rehoboam would rule. And what did Rehoboam do? He went to the elders. Remember we call them the what? What do we call those elders? The senators. Elders or senators. All right? He went to the elders, he went to the senators, and he went to the representatives. In American government, we have the Senate, which are the elders supposed to be. There's the know-it-alls. Okay? Those are the ones that are supposed to be the elder leaders of the nation. And then the House of Representatives is what? Those are the people that the people elect to represent their wishes. The House of Representatives. Okay? So he went to the elders, which is the Senate, and he asked the elders, what should I do? And what did the elders say? Do you remember? To Rehoboam? What did they tell him? You remember? Anybody remember? Sarah, you remember that? Anybody remember what he said? Or what they said to Rehoboam? Make our yoke a little lighter. And if you make the people's yoke a little lighter, he said, your father was really bad on the people. He taxed them heavy, and he worked them hard, and everything else. If you will only lighten the load, these people will follow you anywhere you go. And then he went to the House of Representatives. He went to the young dudes, whippersnappers, and what did the whippersnappers do? Huh? Remember what they said? Say that my little finger is bigger than my father's thigh, and I will put a heavier load on you than ever, and I will whip, my father whipped you with bull whips, and I'll whip you and correct you with scorpions. And then what happened? Rebellion. He lost 10 of the tribes. That's when Israel... Now, had Israel ever split before? Had the nation of Israel ever split before? Come on now, think. Go back to 1st and 2nd Samuel, 1st and 2nd Kings, 1st and 2nd Chronicles now. Did Israel ever split before? What about when David and Saul were there? Remember, Judah was following David, and Israel was following Saul. And then after Saul was killed, it took quite a while, but David finally united all the tribes of Israel into one nation, Israel again. And now we're going to have the nation of Israel split again with Rehoboam and Jeroboam. Okay? 20. What took place in the kingdom upon the death of Solomon? All right, there was great concern over how Rehoboam would rule the people. That's the answer. And he took the young whippersnappers' advice instead of the elders. Okay? 21. Who was made king upon Solomon's death? That ought to be easy. Rehoboam. All right? Rehoboam. Number 22 now. Rehoboam asked advice to two groups of people. Who were and what was their advice? The elders, and the young men. You can put down the Senate and the representatives if you want to. I just brought that over into modern political science, okay? But it's always existed. 23. Whose advice did Rehoboam follow, and what was the result? We already covered that. He followed the young whippersnappers, the youth, the young men, and the 10 tribes rallied around Jeroboam. Number 24, yes.
On 22, it's the elders and the young men, but what was their advice?
The old men that they reduce taxes and love the people and rule righteously.
Is that what the
Okay.
sentence?
That's what the elders said. And then the young man says, take the reins of the government, crack the whip, and beat them up. Tax them heavier than ever before. And of course, and you know, one of the guys that told him to do that was old Bathsheba's grandfather. He still was mad at David.
And then he followed the young men.
Yeah, he followed the young men. All right, number 20. Now, is this helping you understand the Bible a little better? Okay, that's why we're going through all of this. Number 24. Which tribes followed Rehoboam and which followed Jeroboam? Judah, that's the southern kingdom, okay? That's Rehoboam. That's Judah, Benjamin, and the Levites. Judah, Benjamin, and the Levites. The Lion of the tribe of Judah was where the Messiah was going to come with. All right? And then B is Israel, Jeroboam, and the northern kingdom. Okay? I wish I had maps of the Palestine here. All right, Israel. Israel, the nations or the tribes that followed him was Asher. Write down Asher is number 1. Naphtali. Asher, A-S-H-E-R, and Naphtali, N-A-P-H-T-A-L-I. And then Zebulun. You see how this will help you in the future? When you go back and understand the Bible. Issachar. I-S-S-A-C-H-A-R. Manasseh. M-A-N-A-S-S-E-H. Ephraim. E-P-H-R-A-I-M. And then Dan. All right? Dan. D-A-N. What is the feminine word or name for Dan? Dinah. Or Danette. Or Dinah. All right? Remember, Jacob had a daughter named Dan. Or, all right?
Was there a son
Had a
or
son and a daughter named the same name. Dinah and Dan.
Should Israel be one of those? We only have 7. It should be
Okay, I'm not finished yet.
Oh.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Oh, okay.
Simeon. In the New Testament, what is the word Simeon? How do they translate it in the New Testament? Simon. Simon Peter's name should have been Simeon. The translators of King James didn't quite have their names down right. All right. Jacob in the New Testament is James. It should be Jacob in the New Testament. All right. Judah is not Judas, but Judah. It's not Jude. You have the book of Jude. It actually should be the book of Judah. All right. We have Judas and we have Jude and Judah. It all should be Judah. All right. Same name.
On number 23, what was number 3?
23 is number 3.
Yeah,
Okay.
the last one.
All right. 23, number
Judah
3.
Southern. Who was it?
Levites?
Oh, you mean 24A, and then 1, 2, 3 is the Levites.
Levites.
Judah, Benjamin, and Levites. All right. Okay.
Okay.
Now we have Simeon and now we have Gad. Yes.
And I have a question on B. You said Asher, Naphtali, Issachar, Manasseh, Ephraim.
Well,
I missed
Asher,
one.
Naphtali, and Zebulun.
Zebulun.
Oh, Zebulun. All right. Zebulun, Issachar, Manasseh, Ephraim, Dan, Simeon, and Gad. And then the last one is see a son. What is see a son? How do you say see a son in Hebrew? Reuben. See a son. Reuben. See a son. All right. Then complete the following chart of kings. The United Kingdom. All right. Of course, it wasn't quite united. It was in the very beginning. Saul, David, and Solomon. That was the United Kingdom. We'll have to remember that Saul, when he died, then the kingdom split. But David got it back together, David, and then Solomon. By the way, if you want to write down the dates, Saul was 1095 to 1055 BC. Okay? And David was 1055 to 1015 BC. Remember, BC goes smaller as you get toward... Here is BC and AD, okay? All right, back this way, it would be 300 and 250 and 100, like that, okay? Or 1,000, 2, 3, 4,000. Go back to about 4,000 BC for the history of man, okay? And then Solomon was 1015 to 975. Solomon lived 1015 to 975 BC. By the way, the Arabs today will not recognize that David even existed. Did you know that? They will not. They say David never existed. He's just a fantasy. He's just a figment. He's a fairy tale. And the same thing with Solomon, Solomon's temple, and all that. They don't believe it ever happened. All right. That's one of the reasons why they don't want to share the city of Jerusalem with Israel. Israel actually owns the city of Jerusalem, but they don't have control of it. The Arabs do. They knew when they took over the city of Jerusalem that if they went in there and took the temple area, that they would have a continuous, absolute, unrelenting war, that there would never be peace with all the tribes of the Arabs. If they went in there and took it over, because that's their second or third most holy site is the Mosque of Omar, right over here, the Temple Mount. Whenever Israel gets that Temple Mount, better watch out because the false Messiah is someplace close. He's really close. All right. Let's go on a little bit now. This is a long chart here, so I'll go with you and we'll give you the dates and everything. The kings of Israel are, so you'll understand these. Jeroboam, number 1. Okay. 975 to 954 BC. Now these dates are somewhat relative. They'll have different dates in some of the books. I mean, if you ever see different dates, there can be, yes,
975.
975 to 954 BC. Remember, it's going backwards.
Okay.
Okay? And then we have Nadab. 954 to 953. We have Baasha, B-A-A-S-H-A, 953 to 930. And then we have Elah, E-L-A-H, from 930 to 929. He didn't last very long, did he? And then we have Zimri, which was even worse than that. 7 days. He ruled for 1 week.
What was his name?
929, Zimri, Z-I-M-R-I. And then Omri, 929 to 918. He lasted a little longer. Some of these guys didn't last long. Then we have Ahab. Ahab. Remember that rascal? Ungodly buzzard. 918 to 897. He lasted too long, didn't he? And then Ahaziah. And remember who was prophesying against Ahab? Who was the guy? Who was the guy prophesying against Ahab? and Jezebel. What prophet was it? Right over to the side, Elijah. Elijah. Elijah means God is Jehovah. That's what Elijah means. God is Jehovah. Elijah. So over there where 7 is, write Elijah out to the side of it, okay? And then Ahaziah. Ahaziah. 897 to 896. Didn't last long, did it? Jehoram. 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 896 to 884. Then Jehu. The riding of Jehu, the running of Jehu. Remember, he was a fast guy, Jehu. 884 to 856. 884 to 856. Am I going too fast for you?
Yeah.
All right. Jehoahaz. Jehoahaz. 856 to 839. Now, as we read these chronicles and everything else, you'll know who these guys are, okay? And then Jehoash, 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 839 to 823. Jehoash, 839 to 823. And then Jeroboam the second. Jeroboam the second. 823 to 772. And then here we have a common name, Zachariah. 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 6 months in 772 BC. 6 months is what he reigned. And then we got Shallum. 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 He reigned 1 month. Short timers. They didn't last very long, did they? 1 month. Shalom. And then Menahem. Number 16 is Menahem. 772 to 762. That's about 10 years, you know. Lasted a little longer. Number 17 is Pekahiah. 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 762 to 760. And then Pekah, P-E-K-A-H, number 18, 760 to 730 BC. And then Hoshea, Hoshea, H-O-S-H-E-A, 730 to 721. Now let's flop over to the kings of Judah. And remember, that's Jerusalem. Okay, this is Jerusalem, is the capital. And of course we got Rehoboam, 975 to 958. So see the two boys up there, Rehoboam and Jeroboam. And then we have Abijam. Abijam. A-B-I-J-A-M, 958 to 956.
A-B-I what?
A-B-I-J-A-M, 958 to 956, Abijam. And then we have a good king here, Asa. Right good out there beside him, because he was a good old boy. That guy really tried to straighten out. What did he do to his grandma?
What was his name again?
Asa, A-S-A, Asa. What did Asa do to his grandma? You remember? What was she?
He made her queen, or?
Why, she was a lesbian.
Oh, she was?
Yeah, she was a lesbian. His grandma was a lesbian. Yeah. And what did she do? She ran a house of ill repute for lesbians. He shut her down. All right.
When did he roll?
956 to 916. He straightened that out. He straightened the place out during his reign. He even got rid of his grandma. Jehoshaphat. Jehoshaphat. What a name, Jehoshaphat. All right. 916 to 892. Jehoshaphat. That's number 4. Number 5 is Jehoram. Jehoram, Jehoram, 892 to 885 BC. Number 6, Ahaziah, Ahaziah, 885 to 884 BC.
Spell it again and say it again.
Okay, Ahaziah, Ahaziah, Ahaziah.
And it was 885.
885 to 884. That wasn't very long, you know. And Athaliah, 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 884 to 878. And here's a common name, Joash. Remember this guy, Joash? Joash, he lived a little bit longer and reigned a little longer. Joash, 878 to 838. Now he was one of the long timers. And then Amaziah, 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 838 to 809. Another guy had been in there for a while. And then we have Uzziah, or Uzziah, Uzziah, 809 to 757. Another guy that was there for quite a while. And these are kings of Judah or Jerusalem. And then Jotham, number 11. Number 11, Jotham, Jotham, 757 to 742 BC. Ahaz, number 12, 742 to 726 BC. And then Hezekiah. Remember Hezekiah? Remember him? Quite a little bit written about Hezekiah. 726 to 697. He got a little bit of extra life, didn't he? Manasseh. Manasseh. M-A-N-A-S-S-E-H. 697 to 642. Another long time. And then Amos. Amos. Number 15, A-M-O-Z. Amos. 642 to 640. Now that guy didn't last long, did he? Then Josiah. Here we have Josiah. 640 to 609. Josiah. J-O-S-I-A-H. Josiah. Jehoahaz. 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 That's number 17. 609. And he only reigned 3 months.
Jehoah.
Jehoahaz. 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 That's a tongue twister, or a throat twister, actually. It's way down in your throat. Jehoiakim. 18. Jehoiakim. Jehoiakim. 609 to 598. And then we have another name almost like that, but it's spelled differently. Jehoiakim. Jehoiakim. All right? One spelled with a cough and one spelled with a chin. Jehoiakim. J-E-O, or Jehoiachin. 598 to 597. Only 3 months. 3 months. He was another short timer. Then we have Zedekiah. Zedekiah, number 20. Z-E-D-E-K-I-A-H. Zedekiah, 597 to 586. You need any recaps on any of that?
Number 4.
Number 4,
Please.
Jehoshaphat, 916 to 892. Jehoshaphat, Jehoshaphat. Jehoshaphat. If you need, we've got one more syllabus over there if you need one more syllabus. Anything else?
On the kings in Israel, which was number 6.
Number 6 was Omri. O-M-R-I. Number 6 on the kings of Israel was Omri. Remember, those are the ones that went with Jeroboam. They
And
split
number
off.
2 on the Israel?
Who was it? 2?
Yes.
Abijam. A-B-I-J-A-M. 958 to 956.
15 and 16?
15 and 16 of the kings of Judah.
Uh-huh. No.
Okay,
Oh,
Amos.
wait, wait,
Israel.
wait. Israel.
Israel. Okay,
Wasn't
Israel.
Number 2 on Israel?
15 is
and
Shalom.
16.
Shalom is number 15 on the kings of Israel. S-H-A-L-L-U-M. 1 month is what he reigned, 772 BC. Anyone else?
Number 2 was Nahab, right?
Yeah.
Nadab was number 2.
Nadab.
Nadab, 954 to 953.
Okay, number 16?
16 of the kings of Israel.
Yes, please.
Okay, Menahem, M-E-N-A-H-E-M, Menahem, 772 to 762. He reigned 10 years. He lasted a little longer.
And the one after that?
Okay, Pekahiah, P-E-K-A-H-I-A-H, Pekahiah, 762 to 760. I am glad that you guys are writing down. You remember when you write things down.
And just one last thing, I just need all 3 of United Kingdom.
Where?
United Kingdom before Israel.
Oh, the United Kingdom was Saul, David, and Solomon.
Okay.
Saul, David, and Solomon. But remember, even with Saul, it wasn't totally united because some of them went with David. Okay. All right. And what page are you on now for the next one there? 26.
70?
You're on page what?
70.
70. Okay, mine's 71. Mine's a little different than yours. During the 6th year reign of Hoshea's reign, during the 6th year of Hoshea's reign, Israel was attacked by the Assyrian armies. And then it says, after 3 years, she fell and was taken into Assyrian captivity. What did the Assyrians do down there? What was their form of punishment, by the way? Remember when Jonah went down there, he didn't want to go to Assyria or Nineveh. Syria is a Nineveh. All right? This same place. They're the ones that invented crucifixion. All right? They're the ones that, but it wasn't crucifixion at that time. It was star ropes. As they took people and they put them on a stake, a sharpened stake, they put that right, just set them right down on top of it, and it went through their body slowly and slowly impaled them. They would be sitting on this thing like this. And then the Romans perfected it. First of all, they put them on a stake, put their hands up here, their feet down here, nailed them. They lasted for a while. What they wanted to do was somebody to last in pain for a long time. So they'd be out there dying for days if they could make it. Well, they found out that if they made a cross like that, and nailed a hand there, and a hand here, and a foot here, and a foot here, they lasted a little longer than they did here because they suffocated. Well, they said they still suffocated on this one. So then finally, when Jesus was crucified, he was crucified on a towel cross. This is an iota, a key, and a towel cross. And then they nail a hand here, nail a hand here. Actually, they nailed it right through their carpal tunnel, right through the wrist, here and here. And then they would put a platform here and nail their foot into that. And they would even put a seat here for their butt to sit on. Of course, they were stripped off completely naked. But they said sometime 2, 3, and 4 weeks a person could actually live on this cross and suffer slowly and die. They wanted to stretch out the suffering. And by the way, Psalm 22 and Isaiah 53 talked about the suffering Messiah. And it said that he would be crucified on a cross at this type of death. They hadn't invented that yet. It wasn't even invented yet when that happened. But now, let's look at it. How was Paul executed? The Apostle Paul. What?
Beheaded.
He was beheaded. Now I want to ask you something. When Jesus quoted Psalm, oh boy.
Not even one.
Oh, it's on, but it zoomed me in. This poor old camera's wearing out. I have to keep an eyeball on it. It's just worn out. lasting long to hell. I gotta get one of those pretty soon. Where was I? Oh, Jesus. Psalm 22 and Isaiah 53. We find out that Jesus commanded his death. He released his spirit when he would release his spirit. They did not kill him on the cross of Calvary, by the way. He released his spirit. He died. He gave up his life. I mean, he was tortured. He was beaten before. He was crucified and everything else. But they did not kill him. Okay? Now, if you were beheaded or stoned to death, could you actually say the moment that you were going to die? By the way, Israel, the form of a capital punishment was stoning. Among the Romans, if you were a Roman citizen, you could have your head chopped off. Why, King Henry VIII, you remember when he had Anne Boleyn killed because he wanted to get him another wife? He had her head chopped off. They would pay the executioner extra money if they would make a clean stroke so they would not suffer so much. Because sometimes they'd hack them. They'd be flopping around out there like a chicken, they'd be chopping their heads off with a dull knife. Okay? It's terrible, but that's what happened. But that's supposed to be a quick form of death. Jesus didn't die a quick form of death. He could not have been stoned or decapitated and chose the moment when he released his spirit, could he? Only on the Calvary, only on crucifixion could he do that. And then it says that the high day, the high Sabbath was coming up, the feast was coming up, and they wanted to kill the people real fast. They'd been on the cross for only a few hours, and they lasted for days usually. So what were they going to do to kill them? How were they going to hurt them?
Break their legs.
What? Break their legs so they would suffocate. They would suffocate within 20 or 30 minutes they would be dead. If they broke their legs, because they couldn't push up and get any more air, they just suffocated. And they went to Jesus, and he said he's dead already. So they did not break his arm. Because it said a bone in him will not be broken. Remember, the sacrificial lamb represented him. He would not break a bone. Okay? And so he was already dead because he gave up his spirit. All right, when he said, Eloi, Eloi, lama sabachthani, he quoted Psalm 22 and verse 1. And what it actually meant is that whole psalm. In other words, they would have read that and they would have read the whole Psalm 22, which was of his crucifixion. All right? Thank you for your attention today. I hope you learned something. You come back next week and we'll get started right here. It talked about during the reign, number 27, during the reign of Zedekiah. All right. And we'll go back in the Bible and we'll look at this stuff. I'm writing it down. If you have any other questions before I turn you loose on the world, go out and do something eternal. All right? All right. Brother David. If you want this on CD or DVD to look at it again, it's available.
Okay, today on our prayer list,